Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In this episode, I do a little looking back. You know, the rear view mirror on a car is very small compared to the windshield. That rear view mirror is only for looking back to see where you were and for reference. So, imagine trying to drive or navigate just through that rear view mirror. What a mess that would be. Maybe, but in this episode, I'm looking back at a very important time in my life. My name is Jeff Mohr. I'm the Northwoods Carver. Thanks for seeing what I saw. So, how does one tap into something that they don't even know that they have? It's a weird thing. It's like a premonition almost, but it's also knowing people. Right in the very beginning of my carving adventure, I was pretty much homeless. When I first started my career, I didn't have a place to stay, and pretty much no one would have me because I wore my welcome out, just being stupid, being young and dumb. But on route to being who I am currently, the position that I have as a father, grandfather, business owner, husband, artist, wood carver, friend, entrepreneur, you name it. I came from my time when I didn't have a place to live, because it taught me how to rely on the kindness of strangers. And I didn't think the world was a big turd bucket after that. Before that, I kind of did, but not after. People are genuinely good, and I needed to learn more on how to tap into what those types of people wanted, what they liked, the sentimental part of things. And that's what I did. I spent, my whole 35-year career doing it. I wanted to repay those people that have helped me out over the years by being able to create things for other people, like paying it forward. It just kind of stuck with me. So anybody that comes through my doors, potentially, they're helping me out now. They don't have any idea how much they're helping me. I want to give them something special because I've met a lot of special people. Because of them, I feel like I need to pay it forward to the customers that I have now. Because of those nice people that I met back in the day, I just want to, I want to do as best I can because they helped me, put me where I'm at now. I feel like I owe them. Tapping into the kind part of each customer, tapping into the sensitivity of them, also the vulnerability. And you can carve something that's badass and it's cool, but it's only going to be for a certain amount of people. Somebody might think it's cool, but they're just going to be more inclined to spend money on something that means something without being, aggressive too much. Like, I see a lot of carved bears out there, and most of them are docile or just neutral. And that's the way I prefer to see them, because when you see them in real life, that's kind of the way they are. I've had to do bears with their mouths open, but they were fishing, so it's not like they were trying to, kill somebody. I think when you tap into people's humanity, you can get a little farther, or a lot farther in some cases. You have to really be aware of both the customer, like the husband-wife combination. You have to be able to tap into what the husband is thinking, and you also have to be able to be aware of that feminine energy and somehow tie something together to make it happen. And I've become very good at that. Over the years, I've just been able to do things that, it looks cool, but then there's also this subtleness to it. There's a sweetness to it, maybe. Or there's just a freakiness to it that they like. And that's kind of my domain. So I've kind of figured it out. But that is what it takes. You just have to get out there and get some experience. And if you don't, that's fine too. Just look at Pinterest. If you don't want to go out there and be a homeless guy in a van under the bridge or whatever, just look at Pinterest and have some fun and draw things and imagine things and try things. You don't have to sell everything, but the old saying is, us wood carvers, we all sell our mistakes. Well, let's change the subject a little bit. and let's do something that I call finding the art in the work. Finding the art in the work. So finding the art in the work means if you're a chainsaw artist, you have like a lot of things in your repertoire that you're constantly doing, and it becomes boring. This is the stage probably before you burn out and potentially after. This is something I recommend doing, and it's finding the art in the work. So if you have to carve bears, if you have to carve owls, if you have to carve whatever it is that you have to carve, and you have to carve a bunch of them, then I recommend finding the art in the work. So it just becomes work at that point, right? So why don't we look at it like this? Today, I'm going to maybe get some really good images off the internet or whatever. I'm going to print them out, or I'm just going to look at them on my phone, or whatever you have accessible, and then focus on certain little parts of the bird or the bear, like the nose or the ear or the eyes, or maybe just the symmetry, and begin making studies with these little, whatever it is that you're carving. So what I have to say about finding the art in the work is it helped me, because I felt like I was just throwing my life away carving crappy bears and crappy owls. Nothing looked good, and I was just trying to make money. And there is the dilemma. First, get good at what you're doing, and the money will come. How does one get good at what they're doing? Well, they take themselves to school. And if you don't have a school and you don't understand what that means, you need some help from the outside. I'm always here. You can reach out. But listen, if you want to be better at what you're doing, you have to discover new things. You have to push yourself a little bit harder. Not just in, you're probably already working hard anyway. So what I'm referring to is how much you put into it, as far as taking yourself, like I said, back to school, learning to make different types of strokes, checking out different types of styles, just seeing what's out there and then putting it to work. A lot of people just refuse to do this because it doesn't make them money if they're just trying to learn. But always remember, you can always sell your mistakes. How do we stay motivated and interested? Well, sometimes it helps to carve with other carvers just for the camaraderie, even if they're noobs or whatever. It's really great when you can, reach out to somebody near you. Hopefully there's someone by you that you can hang out with and carve. If not, try to hook up. That's what Facebook is for. Just look them up, see who's close, and then make a play date, so to speak. There's also that part of you that needs to look up to something or someone. And if you have a mentor, or if you want a mentor, then you must let them know that you are interested in potentially picking up some tricks, and see if it's okay if you go hang out with them, and not necessarily take a class from them, but just hang out with them and see how they do things, and maybe you could pick up some tips. But it's always better to carve with people that you respect and that you think are better than you, because that's the only way up. It's a long haul if you don't have somebody. So that's all I gotta say about that. I used to be a fisherman. I love fishing. But I used to be a good fisherman. I first started off fishing thinking this is fun and I really enjoy my time out here. And then after a while I started to figure things out. I put myself through the ringer, read books, watched thousands of videos, and read I don't know how many articles, and figured things out. And pretty soon I was pretty good. I could catch fish, and I fed my family for, well, maybe some of you know this, as a wood carver, if you could save money on food, I did. I can tell you I caught a lot of fish. Our freezer was full with venison and fish and pheasant and whatever else, rabbits I could get my hands on. But here's the deal. Carving is very much like that experience. if imagine you had to feed yourself with fishing. Don't you think you'd probably want to learn as much as you could, because you literally have to feed yourself and your family with the things that you catch. This is exactly the same. Watch the videos, read the articles, hang out with other fishermen, learn where the honey holes are. It's all the same. Just saying, because like you can get in the zone fishing, and guess what? You can get in the zone carving. You can find your sweet spot. It's all about, you can feel where the bait is, right? Out there in the river, in the current. And you should be able to do the same thing with what you're carving and where you put it, as far as how is it being exposed. So just keep that in mind. You know, a lot of people that start this business, they don't know why they started it, and maybe they do know why, but I can tell you this, and that is, everybody has a different story. Every single person is drawn to this for a reason. We don't know what the reason is. We think it's, in the spur of the moment, we think whatever it is. You're like, I'm sick of this, or I'm sick of that, or I don't want to have a boss anymore. And that's all good. But when it boils down to it, there's a greater thing in the works that we mostly don't understand. And I didn't understand it for decades. Seriously. So this is my 35th year, and probably year 20 or year 18 or whatever. I think it was my 18th year in. And I thought I was doing pretty good, but I had more faith in, because I just felt like I couldn't do any wrong. Does that make sense? Like, I felt like it didn't matter what I did, it was going to hurt for a while, but I always knew something was going to turn around somehow. I just have to weather the storm, quit trying to force things, and just keep carving. And I did, and none of it was any good. But I basically filled a truck. My son was just born. Here's the story. It's a pretty cool one. And when I look back, this is when I started to look back even further, because the story is pretty crazy. What happened was, I carved a bunch of stuff, basically a pickup load. And I had a 1986 Ford F-250. And I filled it up. This thing was a beater, but it is what it is. I filled it up with all the stuff, and I think we had $200 to our name, something to that effect. I mean, we were struggling. It was a different place for me. The carving business wasn't very good, and I knew how to carve pretty well, but I didn't have the business part down. But you know what? I was in Door County. That was probably, maybe that past summer, and I did pretty good out there. And I figured, well, it's worth one last shot. But really, the season is over out there for, the Lakers being around, and, everything was kind of shut down. It was a beautiful bluebird day when I took off, kissed my wife and baby goodbye, and I got in the truck, and I just wanted to go out there and spend at least 2 days trying to sell my wares. If we can just sell anything, that'd be great. I drove around. I got a hotel the first night, couldn't sell anything. And the cheapest hotel I could find. Couldn't find anything. And back then I was a big time fisherman. So I just grabbed my rods and reels, and I took them everywhere I went. And I was in, what's the name of that town? Sister Bay. And I stopped at I think it was just, I'll just tell you where it was. It was where the Mink River Basin is. Right across the street from the Mink River Basin in Door County. I went fishing. I walked out at the end of this big, long pier. And it was, I couldn't sell anything. I had to come back, and it just killed me that my tail was between my legs. And I was going to come home, and I had spent the money that I was supposed to, fund the trip with, but I never sold anything that whole time. And literally, it was an hour before I had to leave, and I just went out, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go fishing, screw it. And this is so profound in my mind right now. So imagine a cloudy, gloomy day with mist, like spitting rain, big white caps rolling in, and I'm looking out at, Green Bay, or, the Green Bay side of Lake Michigan, casting into the wind with this bait that I'd never tried, but it was good and heavy. And I just kept whipping it out there, if nothing else. I really didn't know. I didn't think I was going to catch a fish, but I didn't know. So I just liked the therapeutic casting of, with my bait caster. Just putting it out there and reeling it in and just trying to feel the bottom and just forgetting about everything, right? And just feeling the wind hitting you in the face. And my face is starting to get damp. My hands are starting to get a little cold. And this is not summer, this is at the end of the season, so probably October. I just was at the end of this 200 or 150 foot long pier that's like 8 feet above the water. And I'm out there for probably half an hour, and I just wanted to get that out of my system before I left. I had to cast a line at least, and maybe I'll catch a fish, maybe that will, anything would be good. I'm just about ready to wrap it up. And I really enjoyed, like I said, I really enjoyed fishing, and casting is very therapeutic. If anybody out there knows what it's like, then you'll hear me out. But I turned around to, and I'm reeling, and I'm casting this thing. This is a heavy weight. It's a heavy, lure. And I'm casting it really far out there, and I'm just trying to zip this thing in, and I turn around and I see this pickup truck. I'm quite a ways away from my truck. So, and then I see this pickup truck with these two guys pull in, and they're already out, and they're all looking at my stuff, and I'm like, oh crap, if they pick something out of there, and they could just throw it in their truck and be gone before I even got my line reeled in. So I just dropped my rod and reel, on the pier, and I yelled, hey, can I help you guys? Like they're, as I'm walking very fast, like I'm concerned at this point, because it's me against two guys, and they're, in a pickup truck, and I was like, oh crap, here we go. So I'm like, is this how this is gonna end, Lord? So I ended up going over there, and they wanted to know how much the stuff in the truck was. They said, how much for everything? They're Polish guys. And I was like, and I just threw them a price. I don't know, it was like $3,600 or something like that. And they go, okay, can you deliver? And I'm like, yeah, I can deliver. Okay, follow us. So I had to run back, grab my rod and reel and my tackle box, reel in my this big clunky lure that never ever caught a fish, right? And ran back, throw it in my truck, follow these guys to their house. It was on the other side of the peninsula, on the Lake Michigan side, and they just built this really nice house, and they were landscaping, and they were going to put my carvings all through the property, in their house, everywhere. They handed me the money. It was cash, and the sun was shining. I swear, it was a blue sky day on the other side of the peninsula. And I was so overwhelmed, I couldn't get over it. Like, it was amazing, and I still haven't gotten over it. I see it in my mind right now as I'm telling the story. So I did a miraculous thing. I thought, oh wow, I must be something else. It's like, no, you didn't have nothing to do with that, you big dummy. I'm driving home, and I can just sense the elation that my wife is going to have, and I pull in the driveway, and there's an obvious difference from when I left. There's no carvings in the back of the truck, but I'm thinking she's going to see this. She never saw that. She was in the house doing stuff. So I came in, and I think she might have been laying in bed with the baby, and I basically came in the house with a big smile on my face. And then I made it rain. I made it rain with money out of bed. All $3,600. Might as well have been $1 million. We were saved. And when I look back at that was almost like a biblical moment in my life, where it's like, no, you have no control over this, buddy. You just need to keep fishing, I'll take care of the rest. And if you're meant to do it, then these types of things, good favor will fall upon you. And it did. And it always has. You know, I can't help myself sometimes. Like, there's no way I can dig myself out, and then something will just come. And if you're in it long enough and you keep doing what you're doing, things always seem to work out. So hopefully this video helped you, and I'm digging making them, so don't forget to watch the next one coming up in 3, 2, 1.